Hello, 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 and welcome on in. It is ESL Challenger League Season 47 Asia, and today is day number 1 of the ESL Challenger League. It's fantastic to be back, of course, and Pilski, you're here with me. It's always good to be casting with you, and obviously we've had to, shift the sleep schedule a little bit. We're getting a bit old. It's getting a bit late here in ANZ, but of course can't be missing out on a bit of Asian Counter-Strike, so feeling good.
Yeah, it's day 1 of Challenger League Asia season 47, but it's about day 1000 of me and Jordan in the trenches at abysmal hours of the morning, casting Asian CS and losing our minds. And I'm looking forward to exactly that for the rest of the season. So back to our roots, so to speak, Jordan. None of this cushy European Counter-Strike, perfectly placed utility, perfect strats, good practice. It's time for a little bit of chaos and spaghetti everywhere.
It's true. We thrive in it. We love it. And I'm certainly looking forward to it. And, I tell you what, like looking at the teams that are actually going to be competing in this season of season 47, I think we do have a pretty good spread. You've got your usual suspects, of course, like the Mongols, Tyloo, Lin Vision, New Happies in there. But a couple of dark horses, Rare Atom, maybe an interesting team, Atox potentially. So lots of teams to talk about and lots of things to think about. But before we get too deep into that whole discussion, we should touch on the format for this season as well, and you guys can get updated with the format explainer here. Of course, there's 16 teams participating. It is just the big one group, and it's a double round robin, so everyone gets every opportunity to make it through to those playoffs. 10 of 16 teams going to be going through, and of course, once you make it to those playoffs, then you're looking to get as high as you can on those standings, which potentially can mean different things. Obviously, for the top 8 or the top 10, you're going to be going through, or actually even going all the way down to 12, you can go all the way through to Challenger League Season 48. And then if you're into the top 2, you go through to ESL Pro League Season 20. So lots on offer. Obviously, 13th and 14th Pilski, they can, or 12th, 13th, and 14th, they can be into the relegation. And from there, obviously, you have to play off for your position in the next season of ESL Challenger Asia, of which a couple of teams are, fairly used to that, actually. They've been in that position before. So really, I think the big thing that you have to be aware of, I guess, is just don't go 15th or 16th.
Yeah, try not to finish dead last. Obviously, in a league such as this league, as we saw last season, sometimes that means you don't even have to necessarily win many games. But let's not get into that. We're looking at some teams tonight as well that obviously played their way through relegation, which kind of tells you that they are back in the season once again, heading into season 47 here. So there must be at least some stability in terms of who's making it through relegation time and time again, and obviously bringing that experience on in. And that's exactly what the point of a league like this one is, just foster that, I'd say not grassroots scene, but foster the Asian scene as a whole, and make sure that there's something to play for, as well as give these teams a good opportunity in this big round robin format to play some of the best in Asia, who are obviously trying to get their hands on those two juicy ESL Pro League spots.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a bit of both, right? You do have the top end of the scene actually still playing in ESL Challenger League. Obviously, the likes of Mongols, Tyloo, Lin Vision, as we've mentioned. But you also have some of these developing teams. And actually, those two are probably going to be vastly different kinds of matches as to what we're going to be talking about when we do talk about those kinds of things. But for today, at least, I think we're going to be looking a little bit maybe more towards the latter, a little bit more towards the developmental side of things, at least for our first game, which will be Clutch Gaming and Born in Far East. Now, you might know Born in Far East. They competed previously, and they have been floating around previously as Lonely 5, if I have got my naming correct, which I'm pretty sure I do. Let me have a quick look. Yeah, it is Lonely S, not Lonely 5. It's Hyper 5 and Lonely S. There's just two different teams that look or sound the exact same.
I think there was an Oceanic team called Lonely 5 as well a while ago, which is why your brain's going that direction as well. So, it's interesting, definitely seeing some of these. Exactly, the name says it all. Some of these players from the country, the vast country that is Russia, playing on the east side of things, closer to China, closer to Mongolia, and those kind of pings, going up against one of the teams sitting in the top of arguably the strongest country in Asia right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess that's the big question, isn't it, right? Like, which of these regions is the top region within Asia? Just in terms of overall depth, I think maybe you'd still give it to China, having Lin Vision and Tyloo being competitive on that top level, whereas Mongolia really kind of does just have the Mongols at this stage, though they are bringing quite a few talents through in some of the other teams as well. And again, one of those that we want to have a look at tonight is going to be Clutch Gaming, so we can touch on their lineup coming into today. And speaking of the Mongols, you do have Hasteka that's come back into Clutch Gaming after sort of initially being in Clutch Gaming prior to going to IHC, then to Mongols, and now he has returned. Obviously, the core roster is still kind of there for Clutch Gaming. They come through from last season in ESL Challenger League, where they did place 7th, 8th, so nothing particularly exciting, unfortunately, for Clutch Gaming last season. But like you say, improvement is what we're looking for from them, and particularly from the Mongolian scene as well. It's always interesting to kind of keep an eye on these players, and you always wonder, like, okay, is one of these guys going to be one of the next guys that'll be picked up into your likes of Atox or your likes of Mongols and kind of thrust into the top level of at least Asian Counter-Strike. And then on the other side of the coin, Born in Far East, again, coming through, having another crack. They did relatively okay in the relegation of Season 46. They were able to top the pack there, and they've secured their spot once again back into ESL Challenger League. So looking forward to seeing what they're going to be able to bring to the table as well.
Yeah, I think, you hit the nail on the head in terms of the narrative around Clutch Gaming. You see these kind of projects a lot. In fact, it's something we've been seeing resurgence of in Oceania a little bit, which is, seeing these players with top tier experience, overseas attendees, take a step down after they necessarily haven't been able to keep their spot in a top team representing their region, taking a step down and maybe, playing a little bit more of a mentor role, a little bit more of a leadership role in a team that is a little bit lower in the hierarchy in their domestic region. So I'm hoping that's what we're going to get out of Hasteka. We already know he's worked with some up-and-coming Mongolian talent on the likes of D13 in the past and sort of made a name for himself that way. And usually he's kind of been one of the older heads on a lot of his rosters, because so many of these younger Mongolian guys are, early 20s or even younger in some cases. You get some teenagers coming into the fray, in the likes of that with Mzinho over in Mongols as well. So yeah, I think for both of these teams, just to kind of set the table stakes, although you touched on it a little bit there, they both did not do well last season, and we look at the overall format and we want to avoid, obviously, relegation yet again here for Born in Far East. This is only a best of one in the round robin format. The win here, given the fact that they both didn't do particularly well last season, would kind of be a big one, because the overall standings, that could be kind of make or break later on in the season once you've played some harder games for where you're going to be sitting overall once it's all said and done.
Yeah, indeed. We should touch on maps as well, because that's going to be a factor coming into this one. Looks like we'll be kicking things off on Anubis. Now, look, I'd love to have some kind of information for you here that says, yeah, Anubis, this is going to be a great map for this team or that team. But quite frankly, I don't know. And I think anyone that is telling you that they know a lot about these two teams is probably just blowing smoke somewhere that you probably don't want smoke to be blown. So quite frankly, for me at least, and I'm sure for you as well, Pilsky, this is going to be a bit of a learning experience. We do have a couple of best of ones tonight. That's how it's termed. It's really like a best of two, but it's like two best of ones back to back. So I mean, every possibility that we get to see a couple of maps which both teams are reasonably comfortable on, just because of the way that the best of one format, at least the best of one veto format, kind of works. It's like, well, it's almost impossible to get onto a map that you absolutely hate, because you have every opportunity to ban out 3 maps before you get to the map that you end up playing.
Yeah, I'm expecting some weird chaos. I think last season I was able to cast a very similar matchup to this, which was one of these Eastern Russian teams versus a Mongolian teams, and it literally was on Anubis, and that was an absolute mess. I was expecting, we're getting some Anubis going towards, previously what was the fringe of the map pool, but now seems to be a lot more of a common pick for a lot of teams. It seems to be a bit more of a comfortable pick for a lot of people in the current CS2 meta. I was expecting those, how would I say, structured set plays, work in the mid control, making your way into house, going and taking A main on the T side. Instead, what I got was, aim duels, B main every single round, just dry running up across bridge, taking aim duels, CTs flooding straight out E-box and just fighting into water. So that's honestly what I'm expecting. It's just BO1 classic high ping Asia chaotic CS is what we're probably going to get from this one if I was to actually gamble on it.
Yeah, I mean, I hope we're going to get something pretty decent, at least from Clutch Gaming. Like, for me personally, I always want to look at those Mongolian teams and kind of see the strength of the region actually shining through as well. Because, as you mentioned, they're debatably up there in terms of strongest region in Asia at the moment, obviously alongside China. Maybe toward the top end, they have a higher peak, but they don't necessarily have the same depth. And it's something that we kind of want to see from Mongolia, because there are a lot of good players there. Obviously, we've got ATOX. We've talked about them quite a lot, and they're going to be an interesting team to watch when that Asia RMR pops off, because they're kind of like on that cusp level where they like almost, if they have a decent tournament there, then we can start to sort of lump them in with like maybe with Tai Lu, for example, who have been a little bit on the downward trend. And you sort of have that trickle-down effect from the rest of the Mongolian scene, as some of these players, kind of like Hastika, obviously come back into the domestic scene rather than playing internationally a little bit more so, and hopefully that knowledge transfer can come through. But we'll talk predictions here as well, and it shouldn't be too much of a surprise that we've both gone the way of Clutch for this one. A little bit of Mongolian bias maybe from the two of us, but again, just when I look at it in terms of players that I've seen around before and results actually from these two teams as well, it does seem like Clutch is maybe just slightly a little bit more favored in my opinion than Born in Far East, but it wouldn't surprise me largely to see a little bit of an upset here, maybe like a 1-1 scoreline, right, in terms of the best of two overall. I wouldn't be too surprised actually if that were to end up being the case, because I'm not going to go in here and say that this Clutch roster is going to be infallible by any means.
Yeah, I think the team from Eastern Russia that I was watching towards the end of the last season was minus 72C, who actually did kind of all right for themselves. There's a couple of these teams from that region, from that part of the world, kicking around this season. Definitely a couple of players from that Russian region playing in ESL Challenger League Asia. But this one, obviously, being one of the weaker sides and being the side that had to fight their way back through relegation. So hoping that they've learned a little bit from that. They've already got at least a season under their belt. They've been kicking around for a while. Maybe there's, especially maintaining that stable core that they've got, hoping that there's going to be some degree of improvement after coming through relegation, because that is kind of the point of the system, right? You want to be, if you're getting relegated and you're not good enough to fight for your spot in the league, then, you're kind of filtering out the teams that don't deserve to be in this level of competition and deserve to be going up against the best in Asia. But if they've proven at least that even after a rough season, they're still better than the rest and they're still able to get themselves a chance to play in this league, you'd like to see them at least try to secure themselves a little bit better replacing this time around.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the end of the day, right, for Lonely S, the bar isn't necessarily too high. They basically did come dead last season in season 46, and that was, even only then in that case, because some teams were like completely DQ'd. Like there was 4 teams or something like that basically got DQ'd, and then there was Lonely S.
And 3 of those, I mean, ex-Tai Lu, which is not the current Tai Lu that we're talking about, like the other roster,
the
NKT, NKT, D13. These are all teams that probably would have done better than the majority of teams.
Yeah, you'd say so. But I think that's a conversation for another day. The big talking point for me there was that if you're Lonely S, all I think you really want to do here is solidify your spot in ESL Challenger League. It's not about having a phenomenal event. It's not about, topping the pack. It's about making sure that at least you can get through to the next season and also staying off the bottom of the pack. And for Clutch, well, we'd probably have slightly higher aspirations in that we might want to see them, doing well in playoffs and potentially pushing for something like again, a solid top 8 position, or maybe even a little better than that, considering they were able to sort of just sit on that cusp for a brief moment at the end of ESL Challenger League season 46. So, maybe look for something like, a top 4 if that were to be possible. Again, taking a look at the teams in the competition overall, I think there's no doubt that we should see Mongols, Tai Lu, Lin Vision probably as the top 3. Now, New Happy is apparently in this season. I had heard rumors that team had disbanded, though I guess, haven't yet actually got confirmation on that. I think that was more of a rumor than anything else, so it would be good if they're there. So for me, there's probably a top 4 there alongside ATOX. That's probably inside the top 4, top 5, depending on, whether you favor ATOX, whether you favor New Happy. And, as funny as it is to say, I might actually say Rare Atom is maybe the next team on the list there that kind of tickles my pickle a little bit and kind of keeps me interested, because actually they did relatively okay in the RMR qualifier, the China RMR qualifier. They kind of pushed it pretty deep. And so, I'm kind of quietly keeping my eye on them, and obviously they've now had that time to kind of make this roster work. So hopefully they're going to have a pretty good season as well. And I guess if that's what we're talking about, that's probably like your top six, in my opinion, in whatever order it may end up being. But I wouldn't really say that there's anyone else on that sheet that make me think that top six will get particularly disrupted.
Yeah, it's good to just see a bit more representation from different areas as well here in Challenger League. We do, although there are circumstances as to why this occurred, we do have God's Reign in attendance. Good to see Daewoo United as well. A little bit of SCA representation, although there's not a lot going out around at the moment. The Asian region of nowadays is basically, at least not in this particular league, but spiritually, I suppose, Oceania, Mongolia, China, and then a lot of Eastern Russian teams. And that seems to be all that it is. So I, for one, am definitely welcoming at least a Southeast Asian team, at least a South Asian team to kind of bring a little bit more representation and maybe spark a little bit of something. I'd like to see more of that. And especially now that we're starting to see the Indian scene picking up more and more with, some of the tournaments that are happening endemically over there. I'm hoping that they can maybe start to be a bit more of a Mongolian CS effect with their own domestic leagues that are kind of thriving, and a consistent organizer in the region that can kind of, get things running along a little bit better.
Yeah, I think it's worth definitely mentioning the Indian scene obviously seems to be on the rise, and we probably wouldn't have expected to really see much in the ways of an Indian team probably 2 seasons ago, like a year ago, 12 months ago. You wouldn't have really expected to even see a single team from India in ESL Challenger League. So overall, it's kind of a positive sign in my mind to even see one. Like, it was almost as if you wouldn't even see one player if you go back even 6 months, right? In ESL Challenger League season 46, there's no player from South Asia.
It probably would have been Pakistan, a number of seasons.
India. Yeah. So that's definitely a positive sign. You're seeing that kind of movement coming on through, and I think the next direction we'd probably be looking would be, like you said, somewhere within Southeast Asia. And again, like that, you do have sort of some representation from Southeast Asia with Daewoo United coming into this season, but I'm not necessarily sure that, like, I'm super sold on that being like whether or not that's going to be a long-term thing, or whether that's going to be like a one-season wonder. They come for one season, they play the season out, and then they're kind of done. You kind of want to see multiple seasons before you really start to get a little bit excited. And obviously, we're kind of getting to that point for the Indian region where it's, look, it's only been one season of ESL Challenger League, but obviously there's a whole lot going on within India that kind of makes you, keep an eye on things over there. So just kind of need to hit that level for Southeast Asia as well, and then we'll be after the races.
I don't think it's going to happen, most likely, unless you start to see some more tournaments kind of cropping up in and around Asia or Southeast Asia specifically. It's probably unlikely. I would really not be surprised to see more than one Indian team next season, kind of pushing their way through and qualifying. It's kind of surprised that if there was a team to kind of represent Southeast Asia, it wouldn't have been like one of the Vietnamese mixes or something like that, because we saw a few of them kind of kicking around for a while. But this is just the way the Asian CS scene is nowadays. It was a little different back when we used to do all the tournaments a number of years ago. Definitely had a lot more Southeast Asian representation and all that kind of stuff. But since then, we've obviously had a cartoon shooter come out, and things have changed a little bit.
Yeah, most definitely. But either way, obviously looking forward to sort of getting stuck into it and seeing how things do go. Was there any other team on that list that you're maybe kind of keeping your eye on? I think GR Gaming might be worth a little bit of a shout. I thought that they're not necessarily a bad team, and they've been sort of kicking around a little while as well, and they've been sort of, kind of on the improve, right? Like they've gone from being that team where you're like, okay, these guys are literally nobodies, they're not going to do anything, to actually, placing quite solidly in the previous season.
Bro, like minus 72 CGR Gaming, both outplacing Atox, Wings Up. By DQ, but still X-Tyloo, D13, NKT. I would not have put that on my bingo card, personally, but look, they did better in the season. So maybe these East Russian players and East Russian teams do kind of have a claim to stake, I suppose, in a tournament like this. So we'll see what we're going to get from them. Definitely it's hyping gameplay and all that kind of stuff, which makes some of the games a little interesting, a little questionable at times.
Yeah, I wonder if the most recent patch is going to change anything in that regard, because obviously the talk of the town was that the Peakers advantage has been sort of lowered or nerfed somewhat. So does that, make any difference when we're sort of talking about this, as you say, this hyping gameplay, which would, generally speaking, kind of promote a little bit more of a swingy kind of a play style? Does it make it a bit more difficult, or does it make it a bit easier? I don't know, obviously being in the server how things are going, but whether or not we're going to see some chaotic stuff, or whether these teams are going to slow down a little bit and try to hold angles a bit more.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we've pretty much talked everything we can as far as this season of Challenger League is concerned right now. Although I did see, we saw it in the countdown timer as well. They did just announce that we're going to be going back to Melbourne for DreamHack. So that was a pretty exciting announcement that came into my feed today.
Well, I think the announcement actually was that ESL Challenger Melbourne is coming back, not as to where exactly it was, though if you were to do some cyber sleuthing, maybe you could put 2 and 2 together and have a bit of a guess that it was at DreamHack Melbourne. But again, as far as I know, there is actually no official confirmation that that is the case. But either way, that's a pretty cool conversation. Obviously, for us in Oceania, we're excited with that one, and we're looking forward to sort of welcoming quite a few of the international teams back onto our shores. We know, everyone, whenever they come to Australia, has a really good time. So be looking forward to sort of seeing which teams get those invites. I had a quick look at the ESL World Ranking, and I think it was, off the top of my head, it might have been Spirit, Apex, and MIBR who could have potentially got the invites for the World Ranking. And if we get those 3 teams, plus obviously the qualifiers, then we'll have a pretty good shout. But either way, we'll jump into game here. Thank you guys for being patient and sticking around. Now it's time for Clutch Gaming and Born in Far East to kick things off on Anubis, and also to kick off this season of ESL Challenger League, which is number 47. So it'll be an exciting one, and hopefully these 2 teams are going to be up to the task.
47 though. That's crazy. I'm surprised they didn't just baseline it and start again with CS2, eh? That's what I probably would have done. But you kill the legacy then if you do that. Kill the legacy. Well, look, let's not get into killing the legacy because I'm sure we both have opinions on that. But as far as the legacy of Mongolian CS goes, this might be one to keep an eye on, because we've got our boy Hastecker bringing his lovely experience over to some of the boys. I don't know much about any of these other guys, as a lot of them don't have Liquipedia pages. We love the inspect animation on grenades.
Well, I was going to say, it really wouldn't be Asian CS without a tech delay, would it? Because, this kind of just takes me back, right? I've been casting Asian CS for probably a good, what is it now? Probably 8 years or so, maybe 8 years. And to be quite honest, if this is your first time here, well,
this is normal.
You can expect a little bit more of this, right?
One time we had a tech pause, which lasted for 45 minutes to an hour and a half, I believe it was, and ended it in one team getting DQ'd from the league forever and then disqualified from the next season of Pro League. So that was fun. At least this is not that, right, guys?
You know what? One time I had a tech pause that lasted for about 45 minutes as well, and that one ended up with a guy getting banned and ruining a whole scene. And only now is it starting to recover.
And only now is Indian CS back once again. Let's go, boys.
Yeah. So let's not get into that one. But yeah. Look, what were we saying prior to getting into the game? Oh, we were talking about ESL Challenger Melbourne. Yeah. So if it were Spirit, Apex, and MIBR, that's 3 pretty cool teams coming through from the world ranking slots. Then obviously you've got your Aussie invite, which at this point people are kind of assuming is going to go to Rooster, given that Bad News Kangaroos and Greyhound are both playing at ESL Pro League, which has the clash.
Which previously I would be very excited about, but in recent days I don't know how excited I am about that.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll have to see how they go. Plus, then obviously there's going to be the local qualifier. I think that's cool. I think that's cool that there's the chance that we're going to get to see another Aussie team that hasn't actually been able to play. Like, let's be real. Like, since the COVID era has like started to open back up again, I think really it has only been Greyhound, Bad News Kangaroos, and Rooster that have played internationally. I don't think any other team has actually had that chance to go overseas. So for someone like a Mind Freak or for a Vantage or for like one of these sort of mixed teams that's getting put together, I know there's like this Sunday School roster got the invite, and then there was Making History as well, which was a bit of a boomer squad to kind of having a crack at some tournaments here and there. You know, there's a few interesting teams kind of kicking around, so any one of them I would be kind of happy to see.
What's the structure of the qualifier? Can Mind Freak like qualify into it? Because I know the
I would
invites
assume there's an open qualifier, yeah.
The invite, so the closed qual invites would be like Vantage and Sunday School off of ranking, from some of the tournaments last year. Yeah, at least I hope if some of the teams like Mind Freak and whatnot can give themselves a chance to try and qualify, then that's the main thing, right? Those are the teams that I would much prefer seeing there. Vantage for a while was plugging along, and I thought that they were a bit of an interesting prospect, but I think obviously I'm on the Mind Freak hype train right now.
Yeah, indeed. All right, well, I mean, that's going to be a conversation for another day, because it looks like we might be waiting a little bit longer for this game. Time for us to take a break, and hopefully we'll be back with the game soon. Alrighty, welcome back. It is looking like the game is going to be underway, so that's something that we can all be happy about. It is Clutch, and it is Born in Far East. So we'll be looking forward to their first map, and actually the first map of ESL Challenger League Season 47. It'll be Clutch to start things off on the CT side, and already picking themselves up a couple of nice frags. It's looking pretty damn good, pretty damn solid for them, until things bounce back a little bit there with that pushover bridge.
Yeah, he's up to defend the site here, trying to hold off the E-box, but can't unfortunately deal with all of those players swinging him, so CT's a little bit out of position as they try to get some water control. Plant going down is a safe plant. Imagine to take next contact, and he's going to be able to actually take out one of these T's as the rest of the CT's now scaling through E-box side. It's a 180 crossfire, but Morikomo not really peeking off that contact. Has to go all on his lonesome now though, Jordan.
Well, not going to work.
4K.
Holy cow. Well, yeah, I mean, you'd think the duelie's there, but didn't even get a chance to hit a shot. As you mentioned, Murakumo, pretty solid stuff with the Glock there in hand. Going to go straight into the AK, 4 kills on the pistol, and Born in Far East kind of dig themselves out of a pretty awkward spot in that pistol being down 3 on 5. But that is sometimes the power of the T side, right? When you can enter the bomb side and you can hit the entries cleanly, which is what they were able to do, you can kind of negate some of that numbers advantage. It was really a 3v1 on that B site, so there you go, off they go, and they win the pistol, which is fantastic news on the T side. It's going to allow Meerkat to do a little bit of janitorial duty, perhaps, with that MAC-10.
Shot for him. Good util to set him up as well. Just double progression molly into doors and house. Keep the CTs at arm's length and set up that MAC-10 for close doors. Now a Aggression mulling in towards A main. He takes a few more duels than he maybe should have, but now that's going to be an AK hitting the deck. Can Flame double up? Oh, again, it's Murakumo to get the impact frags to try to avoid getting ecoed here, but it's still looking a little dangerous.
Bomb plant going to go down though. Should definitely be helping out. Mac 10 not really going to be able to do too much work at that kind of a range, so it'll end up being, you'd say, a pretty straightforward round here for Born in Far East. That flash will prompt the peak from Imagine, but not able to really capitalize off the back of it. So 2-0 the start, which was to be expected off the pistol round win for Born in Far East, but now we're straight back into the swing of things for Clutch as they are able to invest in, you know, some degrees of weaponry and not a huge amount of util, but at least it's a buy.
Yep, putting together what they can. Gonna be a glass cannon to kick off the initial gun round here for Clutch. Does seem like he's going to be taking a duel towards house side. Flashed off the line though. Progression volley down into water here for Flame. Wants to just go and dry take that duel. Hitting the ping pong of aggression as he makes his way in towards water side. Imagine also applying pressure from bridge. And I had Hastika having a think about going in towards A main there. But Born in Far East waiting out this initial U-tilt. Now going to start to kick off this B split.
Those, and once again, it's the same guy doing the work for Born in Far East, but this time the guns in hand for Clutch Gaming are going to make a big old difference. Clouden with a nice 3k. It's going to be a good start to the map by the looks of things for the CT side as well. Both teams able to get their fingers into the honeypot early. But for Born in Far East, losing the first gun round does mean some economic troubles, and Clutch Gaming are pretty happy with the results thus far, even despite having lost the pistol.
Born in Far East, just investing in what they can. Surprised to not see a hero AK, but instead it's Deagle's getting dropped on over to some of the boys. Deagle armor as well invested in, so trying to do some economic damage wherever they can. Again, it's aggression out E-box. This is exactly what I was expecting out of this match, just relentless wide peeking and aim duels being taken on timings that you probably wouldn't see in some other regions.
Oh, okay. Well, starting to get what you're talking about a little bit, Pilsy.
That's it. I mean, I think this is what we're going to get, especially in the round robin stage, right? Best of ones, early days, you know, not the best of the best in terms of what we can see in the Asia scene. You do get a little bit of, I guess, how would I call it? Rock and stick CS, caveman-esque, just beat each other to death. Some basic pieces of util here and there.
Okay. Speaking of which, a little bit of util getting tossed over toward that B side of the map. The smoke for B main. And in the meanwhile, Born in Far East are well and truly on their way through toward A. Lots of util getting tossed over there as well.
Another smoke bang for Izza to kick things off. Man advantage. Very little util left over here for Born in Far East that are at a man disadvantage, a weapon disadvantage, and a util disadvantage. Someone's going to have to go pretty huge to dig them out of this hole.
Did have to retrieve that C4 as well. Little pop flash out from E-box, though Flame is not going to push off the back of it, which is, you would say, a wise decision given it's a 4-on-5. Clutch don't really need to be doing anything at the moment. Born in Far East are going to find it difficult to get into any of these bomb sites, really. Izza in particular has looked quite solid with that AWP so far. And he's over toward A, ready and waiting for the push, which will have to come momentarily. Util's now starting to get tossed. Hastic is on the site as well. Went down maybe just a half second too late, which will open the door up for Born in Far East to actually find that opening kill. But even still, you've got another player on the site to deal with. He's ended up being a 2-for-2 on the entry, which just isn't quite enough to get Born in Far East into a comfortable position.
Wind looking for the wall if he can find it, but in come the rest of the CT scaling in to the site, and that's a nice little cleanup for Clutch Gaming. 3 guns surviving. They're in a very solid position now on the CT side, winning a couple in a row, building up their economy. And the loss bonus not quite enough for Born in Far East to put together enough weapons, really. Maybe a half buy on the cards.
Yeah, not an enjoyable place to be in, really. Murakumo, the only one that's, you know, been setting the scoreboard alight. I mean, Cord is not having a bad game necessarily, but you need more than 3 players going 0 and 5 or 1 and 5 or whatever to actually really challenge Clutch here, who, to be fair, don't look too bad. They seem to be reasonably sharp. They're having a good day so far.
I think this is kind of what we expected from this matchup. Although we've had a couple of nice little rounds from Murakumo here and there. A little bit of a dry smoke push. The first of many for this season, Jordan. Looking forward to it.
Let's see how far we can go into the depths of Asian CS. Lakio waiting for a push, but not going to get that from Clutch, who, to be fair, on this CT side, haven't really been overly aggressive. We've seen some probing movements towards Bridge, but beyond that, they haven't really tried to go too far forward. But Asuka will end up giving that opportunity over to Lakio, but very quickly it'll be brought back. Imagine, yeah, doing some fine work with the M4A1S. And a lot of information there for Flame as well. So unlikely that there should be too much coming from this one for Born in Far East, but they are actually getting a bit more damage done than you'd ideally want to see.
It's just one of those high-ping moments right there. The Glock swinging out super wide, and the A1S can't really do too much about it. Still, the cleanup Clutch. 3 alive. Izza seems to be having a good one with the AWP. He's had a couple of nice opening kills, smoke banging some of the players on the T side here. Murakumo, AWP comes out for him. He's kind of been the standout so far for the T side, so let's see what he's going to be able to put together. And they do have a little bit more util to play with. But if they don't get rolling soon here on the T side, especially with the cash that Clutch has built up, I don't think this is going to be the T side of maneuvers that they would have really wanted. And it is only a BO1, so...
Well, speaking of a bit of aggression that we haven't really seen too much so far, Imagine this time tries to get a little greedy in towards Bridge and actually makes it work with that peek down into Canals. Overall, a little bit more proactive in this round from Clutch as they're starting to, I suppose, feel themselves a little bit more confident. This time, an overstep though, as Murakumo, once again, is there to punish and continues to be the thorn in the side of Clutch that is kind of keeping Born in Far East actually in a lot of these rounds and actually in this game at the moment.
3-on-3 is winnable. They need to make the most of it here. Sasteka and Win at a standoff. It's an important duel to win. Denying info towards A main. No real chance to scale on in there for Murakumo on the AWP. So it's probably going to have to be Meerkat to make some inroads across Bridge. But he's got the space to work with.
Yeah, it's a ballsy play considering he's out in no man's land really with the bomb. And there's only 30 seconds left on the clock here. So if he does go down, then that's pretty much round over. Both of these individuals will need to win their duels. And Murakumo is able to win his at the very least, though. It's prompted a rotation in from Clutch, but it won't matter. Meerkat able to spray both down, and that is going to be another round on the board for Born in Far East. A 2-on-3 Clutch this time.
That's exactly the round they need to win, though, isn't it? Start to get themselves back into this game. You can see the effect that has on Clutch's economy. Not a whole lot of loss bonus built up. They're going to have to burn through a lot of those funds, reinvesting here, and that gives Born in Far East a great opportunity to start to make some inroads on this T half. Regression smoke over towards the B side of the map, as well as E-Box. Murakumo looking for the opening duel with the AWP over onto E-Box side. Flash pushing Clouden off the line and allowing Murakumo to post up. Are they going to start to scale in with this util? Seems like it, but they've already lost a player on the way through.
Yeah, might have taken a little bit too long if that was what they intended to do as well, because all the util has now been dumped by Clutch, and Murakumo gets drive-byed by Cloud, and there was a fair bit of damage in from a nade prior to that as well. Flame with a good trade onto Lakio. And overall, B hit just has not worked out for Born in Far East. Seemed they tried to change the pace up a little bit, tried to pressure the B side a little faster this time around, and didn't work out. So we might see them go back to a little bit of that slower playstyle toward Canals, toward A that we had been seeing earlier on.
Creeping through the middle of the map. Trying to create some opportunities doing so. There's a crosshair placement, but imagine not poking his head up. Meerkat and Wind trying to sink themselves a double peak, and it works out beautifully. Cutting through the middle of the map, but Hasteker is hot on their tail here as they make their way into an open A bomb site. Can Hasteker catch them in transition?
Well, Flame on the flank. He's going to move quickly. I wonder if they've been able to hear him. Certainly that Molotov tick would have made a bit of noise, but maybe it won't even come into play anyway. Born in Far East, they knew the situation that they found themselves in. They tried to pick the pace up, but even then weren't able to win the 2-on-2 duel, so flank didn't come into effect, and 5-3 is the scoreline with a stabilizing kind of a round out from Clutch.
Only 2 surviving though, so kind of an even result for both teams. Clutch reduced their loss bonus and still burned through a fair bit of their cash reinvesting in this one, whereas Born and Far East, having already built up their loss bonus quite substantially and getting themselves a bomb plant, can still buy up into this round. Given the lack of util though, it's going to have to be looking a little different from them. And Wind is saving while the rest of the boys are buying, so I'd imagine he's going to be sent in somewhere, but it's looking like a bit more of a default looking start to the round at least. Now starting to shape up potentially into a B split through water, but they don't have the util or the personnel to really contest Flame with this progression smoke out E-box, so they're just kind of waiting around, waiting out the initial CT util hit. That's a nice opening pick onto Imagine as well.
They might get Cloud in here too, depending on the timing. Oh, he's going to be able to creep out. He'll get the freebie onto the first, the second as well. Just runs out of bullets, but Meerkat lucky to be alive. It was a slightly wayward second spray. Flames on the fast re-aggression though, and I don't know that they're going to be expecting that one. It does take Hasteker more than half his clip to finish off Lakio, but somehow Clutch have brought this back to the 3-on-3, and now Flames in trouble. The Scout is doing too much work. Murakumo, once again, is the difference maker for Born in Far East. What a mad sort of a round as Clutch goes scurrying over toward B.
Yeah, Murakumo putting the plant down. Going to play that post plant from E-box side and an AWP on the retake. Not where you want to be. Hasteker, kit in hand for him. Needs to be the man to touch the bomb first. Wide peek there for Murakumo, close on side now, allowing his teammate to take next contact, but Hasteker showing his experience, closing out that 2-on-2 with the rifle, retaining the AWP. Like I said, though, it's expensive. One player surviving is not going to be kind to the CT economy here. They're going to, again, have to empty the bank accounts. And Born in Far East with that loss bonus plus the bomb plant, and Wind even saving some extra cash can potentially purchase them up and all.
Yep.
So the fight continues on both sides, but regardless, I think Clutch Gaming with 6 on CT here on Anubis going to be happy with that. Anything else really kind of looking like a bonus for them.
Yep, 100%. I mean, that was the point I was going to make. Even though this is kind of tight, Clutch are doing it the way that they need to. They're getting rounds on the CT side, and for a map that leans 56% of the time, at least towards the T side, this is at least more than par score, actually, for Clutch. So you're exactly right in saying that any round here would be a bonus for Clutch. It would certainly make things easier moving into that second half. Now, a smoke, and the flash causing some problems for the AWPer of Clutch, but luckily he's got a couple of riflers to help him out there. Reset, and the peek for another one onto Lakio. It ends up being far too easy for Clutch in this round. Another indication that the B take for Born in Far East is just not working out.
Wind doing his best, but surrounded on all sides with no bullets in the AWP is no way to win a 1-on-3. 7 for Clutch. They finally soft reset the T-side economy without that bomb plant. Could go down to Khalil, but it's probably Pistol Light Armor to buy up in round number 12 and Clutch. They're like the much better of the two teams here. Very well-rounded performance from all of the boys. A couple of little miscellaneous moments, but you'd expect nothing less from Challenger League Asia. Hero AK and a half buy out from Born in Far East, so allowing themselves enough room to buy up into the last round, but still giving themselves an outside shot to take this one away if they can try and steal it.
Well, Deagles can definitely do some damage, but not when Imagine is on the prowl. Hastika not going to be quick enough to avoid the flash, but Meerkat did not apparently get the memo that Hastika was standing there just blindly spraying, so he'll walk straight into it. In the end, this round has just gone from bad to worse for Born in Far East.
Definitely not ideal. And economic damage, not really a massive issue as long as they maintain at least 2 weapons into this round. They should be alright. But losing the ult might not be something they can afford to replace. The Deagles looking for any CTs over-aggressing. Will they look close to their own spawn though? Clouden making his way across bridge side. Should make contact with the T's at any moment. Clutch also pushing up over on carpet side. That's going to be it. Pinched in their own spawn. An 8th for Clutch Gaming here. It's again showing the power of the Mongolian scene. But we'll maybe give them a crack later on in the regular season of the round robin against some of the other East Russian teams that placed a little better last season and see if we could say the same.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I didn't necessarily expect it to be a super one-sided matchup here, but then again, you don't necessarily want to go about underestimating these Mongolian teams. In a lot of cases, even if you haven't heard of them or watched them play or, you know, heard of even any of the individuals on the team, which is, at least for me, pretty much the case for Clutch. Like, I haven't seen many of these guys a lot. And yet, they definitely know their way around the server, so something that continues to impress me about the Mongolian scene. It always seems like a fairly solid team, solid roster of talent, whichever team you end up watching. Another opportunity here for Born in Far East, though, to do some damage, and it could come off the back of this pick. Murakumo, just as the flash pops, is able to hit the shot onto Flame. It looked like a good spot for Clutch to be in, but now Imagine with an almost impossible 2-on-1 Clutch, especially considering he's stuck behind that Molotov. Flash himself out onto the line. He'd have to hit some absolute bangers of shots, though that Molotov will help, and a headshot here would go a long way, but won't quite get there, and 8-4 is the scoreline of the first half. Alrighty, jumping back on into the second half, 8-4, a solid lead for Clutch Gaming, especially considering they were able to get that one on the CT side, Pilski, and you have to be looking at this one as their map to lose.
Absolutely. Born in Far East, all starts with the CT pistol, which maybe you play like the T pistol. Trying to aggress Evox, trying to aggress bridge side. Duels being taken right and left. At least a couple going the way of Born in Far East. But now with this pressure coming over onto double doors, how is Lakio getting away with this? He should be dead to rights, but Izza can't finish his breakfast. And this is looking like a CT pistol to me, Jordan. Look at that.
What a mess. What a mess. Well, Lakio, you got to tip your hat to him. Nice pistol round. Given a couple of opportunities by Clutch, and certainly given an inch and taken a mile in that case. Clutch will be pretty disappointed. They haven't been able to pick up a pistol in this map. It could have been actually quite an easy map for them had they won one or both of those pistols. But at the very least, Born in Far East doing a good job on the CT pistol is going to give them a bit of a sniff back onto the map.
Yeah, no plant either for Clutch. So back to the drawing board. A few upgraded pistols. A little bit of a Zeus on flame. Try to take at least some CT guns away. Meerkat's doing the old cartoon shooter approach of, I'm just going to buy myself light armor this round with the USP. Not really something you see in CS2 at all, but or in CS in general. But can understand the approach of just saving an extra $2,000 and trying to pick up one of the boys' weapons.
Yeah, he's playing quite far back in the B side anyway, so you'd hope probably doesn't have to have much of an impact on this round either way. We'll trade the gun out with Wind, who is going to walk right into the Zeus.
That's probably best case scenario, to be honest, is he couldn't have taken a Glock bullet, but he can dodge a Zeus shot.
I'll tell you what, if I'm Flame there and I get the kill anyway, you're a bit disappointed really if you get a USP out of it.
Yeah, but it's all worth it for the sound, which I know you love to make, Jordan.
Mm-hmm. Here comes Clutch, and they could still do a bit of damage here with a good entry, actually. There's a low HP member, so another trade goes through, and this might just be a bomb plant. It is.
It's huge. Extra bits of util. Make a big difference. Full belts of util, might even be able to get a cheeky AWP on Izza, who was a little bit more responsible than the rest of the boys with his money, and he even got a kill this round. So 5.8k for him if he wants to go for AWP. Could even skip the head armor or just go no util. Yep, AWP, no util. So an early AWP timing for Clutch Gaming that they may not have had access to otherwise, and that's looking pretty good in a round such as this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't want to be letting Born in Far East get a bit of a roll on this CT side. It's not an unlosable game for Clutch Gaming at this point, despite being in quite a solid position. Looks like they'll try to probe toward that B site, at least initially. And Imagine and Hastika have been given the job of doing that. A lot of space being granted, actually, as Flame's now in there as well from main, and Imagine's hit 2 banger entries. One a trade, one just a good old-fashioned peek. And that is the B site cracked on open it. Initially it looked like it would be a default setup from Clutch, but Imagine has taken this round and run with it. Maybe he's run a little bit too far though, as he does give up his life to Meerkat.
Attempted the retake here. Fair bit of util. Meerkat's got himself a kit. Call him Meerkit. I know, my best work. Nice to lay nade over onto the pillar there. Going to soften up Clouden. And they can use whatever damage they can get with these weapons they're bringing into the 3-on-3.
Well, that's a good way to start things off for Clutch, with Flame opening the account. And as time ticks away, Born in Far East unfortunately starting to run out of said time. Clouden going to have an easy time of things, you think. It's sitting inside the smoke and eventually does get the trade onto Izza. And that is another round on the board for the Mongolian squad at 9-6. The scoreline deficit will grow, and unfortunately the CT economy is not quite doing that, so they're in a bit of a sticky situation here with only 3 players being able to afford to buy.
Yeah, you're definitely forced here though, you're on that double eco territory. So look, 2 rifles and all. You can make a buy like this work on the CT side, you've got to be a bit clever about it. That's for Clutch Gaming though, a big chance. In fact, it's a bit of a swing round either way, with 1 player surviving and neither team really having any loss bonus built up. So an important game-defining round here, especially in a best of 1. Smoke onto E-Box side for Clutch Gaming. They've again applied a lot of util pressure, but with Meerkat on the MP9 in front of that util, knowing that there's no B exec coming in after the pressure, I think Born in Far East in a reasonably comfortable spot. Util very sparse for both teams, but that's a massive kill for Lakio. Not only the man advantage, but also clearing out bridge in the mid round like that is going to be very, very important for the CT side. Almost a second pick for Murakumo, posting over on E-Box side, pushed off by the flash.
Yeah, but they've given up the entirety of A, so if Clutch could maybe just keep some members alive here toward the B side of the map, those guys could have walked into A and get a bomb plant down, but not going to be the case as the peaks continued from Hasaka, and obviously the aggression from Born in Far East will clear out the B side of the map, and now the CT is getting a bit of a better understanding of what might be happening over on A. A missed shot from the AWP, and Clutch will not be doing it the easy way. They are going to be made to work for this map.
Cleaned up, and exactly that. I mean, this is how quickly a game can turn around in a best of one. Of course, just one of two best of ones that we have tonight. To get two cheeky back-to-back best of ones, and then in the some of the future Challenger League broadcasts later on in the season, you're going to get a couple of different games, which gives back-to-back not only just in this league, but in multiple regions as well. Which gives you a nice little flavor of some different regions and a lot of the different teams that are participating. Bit of a different kind of approach to a CS broadcast, I think, which is cool. Bit of a spice life variety, perhaps.
Clouden. Not really going to be able to find too much success pushing in the smoke.
It's optimistic, to say the least. And rather classic.
Now it's Flame's turn to have a little bit of a crack on his own in mid. Nade won't quite make short work of him, but the second will. So Kumo is setting things up nicely, though. A little bit of damage from Hasaka at the very least is going to get Born in Far East thinking. He can find one or two more. Oh, he actually had a pretty good chance of doing so there, but not this time around. And Born in Far East are still keeping this one pretty competitive.
That was a very poorly constructed T-side round and a critical gun round, has to be said. I mean, the dry push B main, this is where I do, I haven't got to do this in a while, Jordan. But they really fumbled the bag on an important little force there. It's just like Clutch, dry push through the smoke A main, and then the dry contact across bridge to try to take a rotator off of A, and then kind of just fighting out A main with no util and getting picked apart exactly in the fashion that you'd expect. Gives Born in Far East a massive inroads into this game. Not only are they going to be evening this game up at 9 apiece, but they're going to have the money to potentially fight for the W in a game that wasn't particularly close. That was a very nice shot from Flame, though, which is going to make the CT side a little bit nervous. Starting to see a shift in the rotations now. Push over through A main side. Going to start harassing the middle of the map as Cordy gets that pick over onto bridge.
Could be a huge timing, though, in mid from Izza if he's not checked. And he will be checked, but he's just gotten around the corner in time. Meerkat's going to go down anyway, and this is going to really cause some problems for Born in Far East. In the end, they have been able to bring it back to a 3-on-3, and the flank didn't really come into effect, but there's another flank now going through from Flame into CT. Seems like maybe Born in Far East are just going to be able to salvage the situation. Deagle shots here, still doing some work. Lots of damage to the CT economy. If nothing else, there's one more kill from Flame, and he might just get it done, but eventually chased down by Lakio in the end. A good effort, though. 4 kills in Clutch Gaming. They'll be disappointed they couldn't get that one over the line because they really had every opportunity.
Yeah, somebody else needed to pitch in a little bit. Can't be Flame with just a Deeg, getting all the work done himself. Some good damage done to the CT economy, though, taking 4 guns away from them in this current game state where they don't have the loss bonus built up, where you're at 9 apiece. Max loss bonus on the T side is actually very doable for Clutch Gaming. They economically are in a favorable spot to fight for this game on the more forgiving T side. They just need to put the pieces together, get a couple of good gun rounds in, and keep this one competitive. And they could actually potentially open up a reset window at the end of this best of one to get things done. Still not there yet, though. And this is where, I mean, you can tell that the pressure's on a little bit more. Ooh, cheeky little A main util take there. And opening pick goes the way of Wind over on the B main side. Looks like a progression smoke out B main was attempted with a dry walkthrough from Flame, and that was insta-punished. So now Clutch are trying to pick up the pieces with an A-split through mid-side. But look at this mid-crunch coming out from Born in Far East. This is very dangerous territory.
Well, the frag forward to keep it in check. A trade from Imagine, but he himself can't get more than just the one. So, again, for Clutch Gaming, down to a 2-on-4, and this T-side is really just not done a whole lot. Born in Far East have come on swinging into the second half. Had him with a decent chance here, though, playing close with the AK, but can't land any of his shots, and there's just no chances in AWPA that you're going to win that one. So, for the first time in the map, it really feels like it is actually on Born in Far East to close it out.
Oh, for sure. This is a pretty big fumble for Clutch. Couldn't get a single pistol. They were looking the goods in the gun rounds for the majority, and the majority of this game looking like the more favored team, but this T side has been absolute shambles, has to be said. Tech 9 armor buy coming in here for Clutch, and a hero AK. Definitely not done and dusted just yet, and this is the power of the full loss bonus T side economy. Look at them all sending it straight across the bridge. Will Accio get caught out of position here? Only goes 1-for-1. Now pressure on Ford, trying to hold on to this A site control, and he also goes 1-for-1, so we end up in a messy 3-on-3. The CT's locked behind that smoke on the rotation, and the T's setting up the post plant, but Imagine gets caught through the side of the smoke.
Still winnable, though. Murakumo, oh, you wouldn't have thought he'd make a mistake there. Does get taken down. Hastika, big job to do, though. Has to try to find these last two remaining CTs before they crunch on into him, and his position now known is going to make the job very difficult indeed. There's nowhere to go, and Born in Far East, they're going to go up to 11 in this first best of one, which is certainly going to put a dampener on the spirits of Clutch, who felt that they were doing a good job on this map, but have really let it slip between their hands.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it has to be pointed out, if Born in Far East, in this first game of Challenger League Asia, get the dub, they have already equaled the amount of games they won last season. So we're starting off on a very different note here for this East Russian team, perhaps. Just need to get it across the line. Decent economy, at least one buy in the back pocket here for the CT side. Clutch Gaming, though. Another chance. Trying to push their way back into this game that they're currently letting slip right through their fingers. Progression smoke over onto E-box side and onto the B side. Applying a little bit of that util pressure. Again here for Born in Far East. This util set to try to molly that A side defaulter out of position, and HE nade the smoke to catch him in transition. Kind of mistimed. But it does give them a little bit of info, and Clutch, it's just this slow progression of utility taking E-box control and setting up for this B split, but all of that util has tells. And Born in Far East with 3 players strong on the site.
Yeah, I'm going to dump a lot of util though, and there's still quite a bit of time left in this round, so as that fades, Clutch are going to be given the opportunity to start to work their way in and toss some of their own util. Flashes going up sky high. Flame on the entry duties is doing a pretty good job of that, but there's still one more member, and Wind is holding on to the site solo for the moment. Will ultimately fall to Flame, who's found the triple in this round, and it might finally be a modicum of success for Clutch on the T side.
Starting to think about how to min-max the money here in Born in Far East. These close games on the CT side, lose too many guns and things could start to get out of control. Lakio going to win that duel, pick himself up an AK for his troubles, and Cord chipping down the number of guns that Clutch Gaming are bringing through into the next couple of rounds while they reduce their loss bonus. They need to be careful not to lose too many guns of their own. Since they reduce their own loss bonus, they could also open up a bit of a reset window right at the end of the game. That would be a cruel way to drop this best of one. So after all said and done, 2 apiece surviving on either side. Plenty of cash to reinvest here for Born in Far East. And In classic fashion, we end up in a pause.
Yeah, right on the moment where you really wouldn't want one. Someone's probably having some kind of tech issues of some sort. Might be Meerkat. Hasn't invested in anything. So hopefully that'll get sorted. Particularly because these two teams do have to play another best of one as well. I've been informed reliably that it is 2 separate best of one, not a BO2. So, I don't know. I mean, like, is there a chance that they play the same map again? What do you reckon? Like, if you're in Clutch's shoes right here, and you do end up losing this map, are you gambling on it again?
You don't think about that, like, especially in a big round robin format like this. You just kind of just like, yeah, whatever. Let's go again, best of one. Whatever map you end up on is whatever you end up on. Should be like kind of a reasonable chance. I don't think in a big round robin format like this, you're really obsessing too much about exactly what map you're playing, or trying to get too big of an edge. Just kind of end up on one of 3 maps that it's going to be, and see how it goes. I think more so when you get into the playoff section of the league is where you start thinking about those kind of things a bit more.
All right, straight back into the swing of things. And Clutch, I mean, it's not over yet, obviously. It's just a map that could still very much go to overtime. It has that kind of vibe, particularly with Born in Far East not having a huge amount of money. They get reset on a poor timing. This could still go all right. Lactio for 1. Oh, and Cord very nearly caught out there as well. There's a smoke, but imagine he's the type of player that looks like he wants to go through it. Decides better of it. Missed util. Pressure getting to both teams.
So clever from Clutch after the long pause. Massive pace change. Imagine just diving straight into the other team's spawn. Wind finally puts him down, but look at the wrap from Flame. He's got this round done and dusted. He just needs the time to be able to convert it, but has been heard by Meerkat. That man is very switched on. Unfortunately, his mouse does not seem to be, as he looks straight into the sky. Izza playing the pivot position. Unfortunately, just gets nailed through the smoke. And Clouden is wondering where all the boys have gone. Got to complete a 1-on-2 at a very critical juncture here.
Definitely a winnable 1-on-2 though. They haven't been able to clear out his position, and time is now of the essence. He's spotted that no one's on the bomb, and they've lined up for him. Clouden finds a huge clutch 2v1
Look at the
right
money.
on the precipice, and as you say, that money is very poor indeed for Born in Far East.
What an impactful 1v2. That's literally the game on a silver platter from Clouden. Oh, and Born in Far East in a very strange money position, opt to just force to even up the cash. MP9 armors, pistol armors, and a singular M4 is not what you want to be fighting for a BO1 with. And Clutch, after the pace change, works out beautifully for them in a bit of a scrappy mud wrestle. They're going to go for the contact play towards the B site here yet again, trying to use that weaponry advantage. Look at the things being dished out here by the CTs, though. Wind's going wide. Man's out for blood right now.
Flame ready and waiting for the push, although might have needed to be a little bit readier. Still, he's going to be able to get himself out to safety with that headshot. But it's starting to go a bit wrong here for Clutch Gaming. I've already lost a couple of players. They've lost a lot of map control as well. Cord is taking a risk by pushing in canals, but that risk is paying off. They've got a lot of information, the CT side.
Clutch Gaming just slowing things down, knowing they've still got a pretty significant weaponry advantage, but it's not really doing them too many favors. Another shot from Ninja, a 1D from Murakumo, all on Izza. A nightmare scenario, 14 HP, and he gets put down as well. 12-11 for Born in Far East after losing a money resetting 2-on-1. This is exactly what I was talking about. Remember all those guns that Clutch Gaming were drip feeding round to round to round on the T side while reducing their own loss bonus, and now 3 of them with 2.5k on match point. I cannot believe it.
Yeah, that is very disappointing for Clutch Gaming. This should have been their game. Should have been their map. They worked so hard. The first half looked so good. And then they've reset the CT economy at a very important juncture, and still with all those opportunities, they are facing what should now be a 13-11 loss. I mean, think about the big upgrade that Born in Far East get on that round. 2 AKs and an AWP out of it. Clutch could have done this so much easier than they're now going to have to do. Ooh. That AK, though, is putting in some work at the very least from Clouden.
Massive kill as well, dink for dink. But yeah, big impact from Clouden, picking that A main player. That's a util set hitting the floor. Going to start to pull the CT rotations apart a little bit, and some pressure on the middle of the map as well. Reducing the info that Born in Far East has access to. They're only 2 apiece on either side, and in comes this massive push through E-Box.
Oh, Molly, the timing on that is going to be pretty good. It'll start to hurt Clutch on their way in, but they are finding their entries, and there's not been a single trade, so it will have to be a 5-on-3 retake from the CT side. I think we might just be going to overtime. Clutch Gaming have been able to pick themselves up an AWP. That's in the hands of Imagine. And so far, Born in Far East are more concerned about what's happening on the flank than what's happening in front of them, which is not what they need to be focusing on right now. Short of a miracle defuse in the smoke, I just don't see this one happening, and they've almost kind of smoked themselves off with that smoke that's been thrown into CT's 4 still. Meerkat's found one, Wind another, and, well, time is starting to run out here. Meerkat, he's just not going to get it done. There is no time at all, and Clutch will stumble over the line into the OT, but they get there at the very least.
Good to see kind of ping everyone's playing on as well. Something we haven't had to consider for a little while in the OS region. But I think 60 and 80 ping, you know, you're both kind of playing on somewhat even ground. Which is probably what you expect to get from a lot of these teams, Mongolia, China, East Russia, etc.
Yeah, I think particularly Mongolia and East Russia.
You get the kind of occasional bloke who's playing on like Handy, which is not ideal.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Okay.
That'll work out.
Oh, I can't wait for even more of that over the next little bit with you, Jordan. Just those kind of plays. That's what we're here for.
Look, he's kept going as well. He's just walking straight through mid. He's got all the way into cave. He might actually...
He's just won the round, yeah.
He's going to kill someone on B now as well. Boom, off you go.
If not Meerkat as well.
Might get 2. Why not? Let's go for 2. There you go.
He's just won the round by himself.
Imagine doesn't care.
So Imagine spiritual successor. So I don't think I've ever seen the Oceanic Imagine send it quite that hard.
No. At least maybe not for the last 10 years.
Don't even know how many years it's been since we saw him play. At least 2015, almost 10. 16, 15, 16?
Something like that.
First round going to Clutch. Off the back of a very energetic mid-push from Imagine in OT. He's had enough. He knows that they fumbled the bag this game. And he wants to right those wrongs. They can't win a pistol, but there are no pistols in OT, Jordan, and that's the good news.
Yeah, I suppose so. God, imagine the difference that one of those pistols would have made actually for Clutch. Double AWP's going to be the option of choice for Born in Far East, apparently. Yeah,
they need to be careful with their money, though. 12.5 KOT. I think it's fine. You can get the drops going. Murakumo said, I'm not going to buy any util for the double AWP fund. They won't be skipping a piece of util here and there in OT, though, if this sun doesn't go well. And they don't save, of course. And that pressure coming in here for Clutch is a bit more of a defaulty looking round. Once again, Flame is just this. He just keeps underarming this smoke, walking out of it, and getting absolutely domed every time.
Well, I don't know what to say about that, but either way, Clutch are going to try to work their way into the B-bomb site. This time it's Hastakar. Nice spray control. But he left himself a little bit too much to do with the position that he found himself in. And Wind has put together a pretty good round there before eventually being brought down to his knees. Now it's on to the AWP counterpart of Izza to try to save the day. This is a nice move into the CT spawn.
Yeah, full belt to util as well. Get himself in a post plant on a pivot position. Get the right piece of util down on the right timing. Maybe even catch one before he gets into that post plant position. He's going to wrap. He knows he can catch a player over here towards his backside. So that's a freebie for him. Now considering his options.
Well, he has plenty of them, because there's no CTs anywhere nearby, and he's also got a bit of time to work with too. So looks like he'll make another correct read in heading toward that B bomb site. Izzet might have actually given himself a really good chance of winning this round now. He's got a full belt of util. Smoke onto the bomb site. He's going to plant inside of that. Where does he decide to throw the molly, if at all?
These CTs don't have kits, by the way, in OT. So unless they can run over onto Ninja side or back on towards CT spawn, this could be a 10-second defuse kind of jam.
I would say Slow and Steady wins the race, but in this case, probably the alternative for Born in Far East. And in fact, Izzet just holding on the corner. He's going to be gifted 2 1v1s, and that is another round for Clutch. 14-12. Speaking of Clutch, there's one for you.
And down to an MP9 in OT. Again, jamming the double AWP. And the side effects of just jamming double AWP over and over again is exactly this. You miss a primary weapon here or there. You're missing util in overtime, and you're missing kits. So if you end up in a long drawn out XVX like that, that's the things that 1v3s are made of. Mirakumo making use of the double AWP though. Shotgun style over on B main.
Oh
He's just going to kill the whole team himself. This is ludicrous.
Oh, Izzet, yeah, goes down as well. So that's the ace, and that's what it requires to at least get one round on the CT side of Anubis in the OT. What madness are we watching tonight? 14-13, favoring Clutch. I don't even know if that's the pass score. Like, traditionally, you would probably say, yeah, 2 rounds on T is the pass score, 1 round on CT. But based on this game, at least, it seems like in this matchup, the map is CT-sided. So, very hard to say.
Yep, it's Asia. It's hyping Asia gameplay. Anything can work. That's why we love it. Ooh, a little bit of a stand up on the AWP. Double AWP on the T side, mind you. That might be the ping diff going on.
It's working out so far for Wind. This will be the equalizing round back to 14-14 if it goes the way of the CT side. Of the T side, I should say. And Clutch on the CT side have some struggling to do, but it doesn't really seem like they've got any avenue back into this round, really. Particularly when Wind is watching that mid-rotate. There's a Molotov in the way as well for Flame to try to get past, and Cloudon's down now as well, so that looked like a very straightforward round in the end, actually, for Born in Far East.
Easy as you like, double AWP T side. Like I said, anything can work. They made it look pretty good. Holding angles with AWPs. Clutch walks straight into them. Nice little equalizer. See if they're going to retain the double AWP. They have every opportunity to just get rid of it. Run into the next round full rifle. Yeah, that's going to be it. Wind. Just holding angles over on bridge side. Nice little 3k for him. AWP comes out for Izzet here. And it does seem like they want to keep the double AWP.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I wonder if it was even seen by Clutch, to be honest. Because Cord got the other 2 kills. Wind got a 3k on bridge side, so they might not even be aware there's a double AWP.
Well, hopefully they'll be made aware of it relatively shortly, though. Wind out of the picture already. And Cord might have to be the point of resistance to bring her back. That's a very sharp shot onto Flame. Cloudon, the response prompted is a push out of B main, and it's not a bad thing to do in this circumstance, though he's got to be careful that he doesn't lose his life to Meerkat as he continues to push his way forward. Meanwhile, Born in Far East are trying to make their way into the site, and now they get the info, which comes a little bit too late. That said, when Murakumo is alive, you sense that there is still a chance for Born in Far East. It won't come this time around, and it is Clutch that have map points.
Stuff from Izza, dealing with one of those AWPs in the AWP v AWP duel. They're going to reinvest in the double AWP straight away. So it is very intentional from Born in Far East here in OT to continue going for that style. Map point here. Over on the side of Clutch to finally get things across the line. Would be a bit of a missed opportunity for Born in Far East to start off their season with a dub after only securing one in the previous season. It'd be a decent win for Clutch as well. They only got 3 wins in the regular season last time. 4 stack on B. Hasteker left on his lonesome over on A main side. The push through B main and the info found over there, though they're just trying to play the long game here. Keep the T's at arm's length over on the A side of the map. Is this rotated on over here? But the flank not coming through from Clouded. So just wanted to maintain the info that they have already. Bomb finally picked up by Meerkat. Lakio looking like he wants to apply some pressure towards E-Box, or at least just deny some info over there, but Flame throwing down the smoke going to make that one difficult. There's the info denial from Born in Far East. Want to dot their I's and cross their T's before they actually kick off an A exec.
Oh, Hasegawa with the timing on the swing to get himself one and another as well. Good flash in there from Izza. Nice coordination from Clutch, and they might just have done enough to net themselves a map victory here. Lakio may have something to say about it, but he's going to have some util to keep him at bay. And with only 30 seconds left on the clock, that is going to be more influential than you might think. It's all about timing here for Clouden. He has to buy as much of it to allow Clutch to come across. Hasteker is going to lose his life. Murakumo, 32 for the map so far. And a couple more might get the win on the board for Born in Far East, but it's not going to come off of his AWP. And now Clouden strikes again. Surely it's over. There you go. Clouden finishes with a double kill on the B side, and it is 16 to 14 for Clutch as they pick up the map victory on Anubis. A very closely fought affair. Obviously had to go toward overtime, but in the end, we do get our prediction right, Pilsky.
Yeah, barely. It has to be said, though, massive missed opportunity there for Born in Far East. Could have started off this season with the dub, equaling the amount that they got last season. So they're going to be kicking themselves a little bit. And Clutch winning an important game for teams that both kind of sat at the bottom of the table last season. I mean, with only a couple of games won or lost in between, you potentially going back to relegation or getting removed from the tournament and relegated entirely. Those are the kind of dubs you need to be picking yourself up early.
Yeah, definitely. Man, such a back and forth game, though. I mean, I don't know. I feel like Clutch Gaming could have really gotten that one done a little bit easier than they did, right? If they had picked up one of the pistols or both of the pistols, that certainly could have gone a long way. They had an 8-4 lead at halftime, and the CT side just... Or sorry, the T side, rather, was the one that was actually the problem for them. Didn't really seem like it was kind of coming together. And then they get the reset right at what? It was like 11-11 and still don't get it over the line from that point. I really thought it was doomed. I thought it was doomed to failure for Clutch, and I thought that Born in Far East were going to get it done. So on one hand, I'm a little bit relieved actually that Clutch is able to get it in the end. But I don't know, like that's got to be a map where you got to look back on that and really have a bit of a serious talk amongst the team.
Yeah, for sure. I think a bit of a learning opportunity. Fumbled the bags at multiple occasions. Could have just won a pistol. Could have just not like lost a handful of rounds. And to be honest, even a couple of heroic clutches coming in from the Mongolian side tonight to be able to just barely scrape themselves across the line against Born in Far East. So not the best sign early on in this season for Clutch Gaming either. But, you know, they are here to foster the improvement of the next generation of Mongolian talent. So hopefully this is just a small step on the road to doing that.
Yeah, Murakumo going to pick up the player of the map there. Not really too much of a surprise. 32 kills, 19 deaths. Very, very solid game from him individually. Unfortunately, though, not enough to get the win on the board for Born in Far East. So, you know, someone to keep an eye on. I saw a few people in chat kind of getting behind Murakumo. Maybe they know something that we didn't. Certainly now we're starting to become accustomed to what we've seen there. Question is now going to be whether or not he's going to be able to do it on another map. Maybe they're going to play Anubis again, but again, on a second map at least is probably better terminology there. And if that's going to be enough to get Born in Far East at least a 1-1 here tonight.
Yeah, 100%. I think, you know, it's always good to see some players that you haven't seen too much or you're not too familiar with in a tournament like this, especially for avid Asian CS enjoyers such as you and I, Jordan. And I think Murakumo was looking pretty sharp on the ult there, giving me all sorts of flashbacks to Vadim playing on Invictus Gaming and some of those boys running around and doing some damage. So maybe the second coming in this case.
Yeah, indeed. We're keeping an eye on how things do play out with him. But yeah, we still got one more best of one to go tonight. It will again be Clutch and Born in Far East. I don't know if that game, has that given you any kind of insight into which way you think things might be going for this next map? Has it really changed your opinion at all?
I'll tell you what, Jordan, I'll have a think about it in the break and I'll let you know. I'll let you know, buddy. I'll have to, you know, dig through the stats and you know, some obscure you know, Googling and all that kind of stuff, and we'll find our answer.
So you're a bit of a thinking man. You like to pretend you're a bit of a thinking man. I see what you're where you're getting at. Hopefully, though, it's going to be another good map, right? These two teams, they seem to be fairly evenly matched, and I guess, yeah, we're just looking forward to sort of jumping into that map. I don't know whether or not we would prefer to go towards Anubis again one more time, or if maybe there's another map in the pool that these two teams are going to find themselves on. Surely, if you're on the behalf of Born in Far East, though, you feel like you can at the very least get yourself one tonight. So we'll have to wait and see. It's time for us, though, to take a quick break. Don't go too far away. We'll be back on the other side of this one with Clutch Gaming and Born in Far East for their second map of the night. Jumping back on in, it is ESL Challenger League Season 47 Asia, and today is day number 1. We've already been given our first overtime. The very first game of the season went to overtime between Clutch and Born in Far East. If that ain't Asian CS, I don't know what is.
Overtime plus tech pauses, yeah.
Start with a tech delay, 10 minutes late, get into some shenanigans, jump into an overtime. I mean, what's not to love? We're here for, though, the second map that's going to be played between these two teams. And it's kind of hard to really split the difference between the two based on that first map as to who's going to win this second map. Because, again, pretty close affair there on Anubis.
Yeah, for sure. I think seeming like I don't know. Maybe I'm being a bit biased. My Mongolian bias might be showing a little bit because really it was a bit of a mess all around, but I felt like Clutch Gaming looked a lot stronger in the first half. Their T side was pretty woeful. I think that was the main issue, and it has to be said, the guys over on Clutch Gaming did take both pistols, and still, we went into OT. So maybe in a bit of a cleaner affair, you could probably see Clutch Gaming taking things away. But Born in Far East, they definitely didn't gimmick win that game or anything like that. They had some interesting approaches, it has to be said, but definitely some solid play mixed in there too.
I suppose another question would be if Murakumo isn't able to kind of go absolutely bananas there. He dropped like 32 kills, I think. Yeah, I mean, it was an overtime, but like, again, you talk about CSGO when we were playing MR15, 30 frags was kind of a barometer for an exceptionally good game. And he's been able to do that in 30 rounds. So, it's still kind of a relevant statistic. I think the 30 bomb, at least in the single OT in MR12, is quite a respectable total. And so he was someone that seemed to be having a pretty good amount of success, which, again, unfortunately, obviously wins him the MVP for that last map, but it doesn't win him the map. So that's not quite good enough, unfortunately, as far as Born in Far East are concerned. That said, we've got another map to go, so another best of one. We can take a look at what that map is going to be, and this time it will not be on Anubis. We go toward Mirage instead, and hopefully we'll get to see another pretty good affair, because this was like we said, it was a close game. So hopefully we'll see another close one.
So what's the deal? It's looking like Anubis is the first map. Maybe we can't play the same one again.
That would make sense, I guess.
Looking at the veto, you can't play the same map 2 times in a row, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Which I'm happy about, because I don't think any of us want to watch that last game of Anubis played out again for the second time in a row. I'd like to see a little bit of variety, a little bit of spice of life. So a Mirage one should be an interesting one. I think I was watching some of the other Eastern Russian teams playing a little bit of Mirage. We know our Mongolian teams love a little bit of Mirage. So, yeah, let's see what we're going to get out of it.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, which way are you leaning for this one? Obviously, we both kind of went the way of Clutch for that first map. And, again, it's going to be hard to sort of go against them after having seen them grind out a win on the first map. But it has to be said that, it does feel like maybe Clutch are feeling like the slightly stronger team in this matchup.
Yeah, I'm just going to predict Clutch most days of the week, I would say. There's no reason why Born in Far East can't win it, though, to be honest. But yeah, I think on majority of maps, majority of situations, I'm probably going for the Mongolians, because that's just a little more convincing to me than what I've been seeing from most East Russian gameplay. Although, looking at the results of last season, maybe that's a bit foolhardy, because you had multiple East Russian teams finishing above ATOX and a lot of other teams that we would probably be considering to be pretty strong for the most part in Asia. So maybe the East Russians have a bit of a claim to stake, perhaps.
Yeah, I do wonder if that's just because of an unfamiliarity on our behalf, right? Like, we just don't get to see that much from these Eastern Russian teams. Obviously, they do play in ESL Challenger League, and a lot of them obviously tried to qualify through to the Asia RMR. But those kinds of results, those kinds of Asia RMR qualification results also do sort of weigh heavily on my mind. And the fact that none of them made it even particularly deep in the RMR qualifiers sort of is a bit of a question in my mind. But either way, that's something that I guess we can sort of explore over the course of this season of ESL Challenger League, because there's certainly no shortage of teams coming through from Eastern Europe, but either way, one of them is in this game, and it is born in Far East, and they're going to try to make amends for the loss in that first BO1. Run it back here on Mirage and see what they can do up against Clutch Gaming. And it's a Clutch who will be, once again, starting on the CT side.
We're going to be keeping this pistol pretty simple. Single piece of util here on Cord. Win taking duels over on mid, able to take the head off Imagine as this underpass creep comes through, but they've lost a bomb in B apps. This is going to be a messy round indeed. Win trying to pick up the pieces as he comes through TV room. He's fumbled the bag, and although they've got a window boost going, Izza is just not stopping. He's just charging into underpass. Didn't remember to reload his USP, and that's probably ended up costing him that.
Oh, Hastek is going to go for a swing as well, and that has left Flame with a mighty large job to do in terms of holding onto this bomb. It's got to have been so much better for Clutch, but once again, it just seems like they have an allergy to winning pistols. Cloudon's all the way over on A. He's going to have to get a bit of a wriggle on here to try and help on out. I don't know if they've actually spotted Flame. Either way, they're going to have enough to get past him, and the only saving grace is going to be if Cloudon is able to win a 1-on-3 here on the site, which seems like it's unlikely. He's running out of bullets. 5 to go. Born in Far East are not going to be making any mistakes when it comes to the pistols at the very least. That's 3 from 3 tonight.
Very, very messy pistol round. And again, it's a one player on the T side having to 4K to kind of drag Born in Far East across the line in a pistol that they probably shouldn't have won. Very messy stuff from Clutch Gaming, just kind of overcooking the goose, overheating a little bit in some pretty favorable positions. I'd like to see some patience from some of these boys, given some of the situations that they ended up in the last game. Maybe that's on Hastika to start to get the boys to chill a little bit. The Eagle goes awry in window side. You'd love to see that connecting an opening kill, or maybe even just taking an AK away, but at least it's going to get recycled, which is what we like to see here. Moving towards a brighter, greener future, as far as the Deagles are concerned.
Well, Lakio in a position to strike and is going to do just that. That said, Cloudon could have done some work maybe there with the Deagle, and this time Flame with the Zeus is going to be able to make it work. Now, this is the patch which has the recharging Zeus. Am I right? That's live now. 30 seconds. You can use the Zeus again, so you can potentially get multiple Zeus kills.
Zeus multi-frag.
Yeah. Don't know how often we're going to see that.
I mean,
but it's fun.
He's retired now, but we didn't see it much when he was playing as well. There's a little cheeky joke for you Na'Vi fans out there.
All those Na'Vi fans that are watching.
Hey, bro. It's
true.
Russian team. He's
Ooh, what was that?
Yeah, this is spaghetti in middle right now. Had a bit of fisticuffs. Gone 1 for 2. So now Clutch Gaming in a bit of a pickle, and the Palace contact is definitely going to get that pickle churning along pretty quickly here.
Yeah, Clutch certainly not having as good of a time on the CT side of Mirage as they were on Anubis. This is basically save territory, actually, for Izza and Hastika. So it seems like Born in Far East are bringing a bit of a different brand of Counter-Strike this time. Very fast. They were a little bit slower on their T side of Anubis, but so far on the T side of Mirage, they have pretty much not refrained from holding W key.
Yeah, I think I saw a similar thing from GR Gaming, I think it was, who I watched last season. Like, similar kind of brand of Counter-Strike on Mirage T side from them, so bit of the old Russian flavor. Obviously, CIS teams, I mean, it is East Russia, but CIS teams in general being known for loving playing a bit of an online qualifier and wide swinging and taking aim duels and making your life very miserable. And so far, so good. Leaning on the Russian flavor of CS here for Born in Far East. 4 players surviving there first gun round, soft reset on the CT side economy, and Clutch Gaming really haven't gotten anything rolling for themselves at all.
Unlikely that they will in this round as well. No, couple of deagles, 5-7. Bit of a cheeky bit of team damage there as well on the Clouden. No worries. Don't worry about it. Who knows what we're going to get out of this one. I mean, Nova for Izza. It's not impossible that something happens for Clutch here. This time, though, a much slower approach from Born in Far East. Prepared to set up default and see if they can eke out a kill or two. And unfortunately, that's not going to go very well for them. And as has ever been the case, Imagine likes to hold the W key. Lakio will go down as well. This is starting to get a little bit awkward for Born in Far East. Imagine just taking the game away from them, as he's done so many times before.
Up to Meerkat and Cord to pick up the pieces of what was a pretty good start to Mirage, but as we've already learned from watching 30 rounds of Anubis, you can never predict the way that some of these rounds are going to go. Flame and Hastika to defend the B site. Cord and Meerkat, considering their options, indeed will decide to go towards B.
It's another one. And another one. Okay, we're on. We're ready to go. It's time for the CT side to exist again, apparently. Clutch just pull around out of nowhere. A rabbit out the hat, really. Izza's left holding on to a Nova. And I think he might keep it. Because why not?
Yeah, maybe. Give it a crack. If it's good enough for Simple, then it's good enough for Challenger League Season 47.
That's true. Apparently the shotties are better in CS2 anyway. Not that I know. I never buy that gun. Never buy any shotties, except the Mag 7. Mag 7's life.
We've double smoked window, so ain't nobody getting a pick from there. Unfortunately, Imagine in front of the window smoke. Oh dear, he shouldn't have been though. Meerkat punishes him, pops his little head up as you see if you're in Sydney. Go check out Taronga Zoo, and Wind's made his way up into window as well, right next to Clouden. It's just going to be messy in middle here. Can Clutch recover this 3-on-5 though?
It's all part of the plan. Never mind, it's not part of the plan. I thought the shotty was going to get something done, and it doesn't. Cord here to help out Wind. Oh, Flame might have been spotted on that cross there. He's stuck in the corner now, and the nade is going to get him even lower. In the meanwhile, bomb plant. The safest of plans from Murakumo, but either way, we'll get it down. And for Clutch, they had a little bit of luck in the previous round, some good shots connecting, but they haven't been able to follow up on it.
Yeah, I mean, normalcy restored after a bit of a weird half buy. Born in Far East, straight back on their BS. Cord maybe able to take the last gun out of Flame's hands. He's very low, should be able to clean that one up. On the headshot angle though, Flame with some good movement. But can he be ready for Wind? There's definitely a joke in here about bushfires that I'm not going to make. But in this case, the Wind blows out the Flame. You know, Avatar, Last Airbender, all that. You guys know what I'm talking about. And look, Clutch Gaming, they can buy up into this one. Money's not great for Born in Far East. There's definitely some reset potential here if Clutch can put the pieces together in this round. And they're going to try to throw a little bit of a curveball in here with the double AWP.
Straight back into the swing of things though for Born in Far East, and they're going to try to go faster this time around. Imagine from under balcony will be doing his lion's share of the work with that MP9, and Born in Far East just doing a magic trick, disappearing in out of thin air.
So Far East, you can't even see him anymore.
That's right.
And their money's cooked. That was the reset window I was talking about, and when you win the round, upgrade to triple AWP. Which I have to say, anti-eco might not be a good thing, but good news for them is they're playing against no util, no any kind of set play or half play exit, which would be really good against Triple Lord, by the way. They're just gonna split the pick with Deagles, and that's what happens.
Guess so. Oh, Cord. He's on for the Zeus. He's on for the Zeus.
No.
He's not on for the Zeus. Meerkat's got a kill though. So maybe one of the AWPs is not going to go through to the next round. We'll see. He's got himself an M4 at least. 20 bullets. Oh, lots of noise being made, and USP gets the job done. Another back and forth map I think we have on our hands here.
Badger just continues to run it down at people. Which I gotta say, continues to work for him. And now I'm starting to see the grassroots of what is crazy Asian gameplay at a higher level. This is where these players are born and bred making questionable decisions that work out for them. Watching it unfold right before our eyes, a lifetime of bad Counter-Strike habits that get punished overseas. Push into Palace. All posted up on the underpass line. Molly actually behind him. That's cheeky from Clouden. Making the T's not necessarily expect a Palace push behind that piece of util. It's the same kind of idea as Molotoving the top of Hut on Nuke and then pushing into Hut. The sound cue making the T's not expect a player in Palace, but he hasn't actually kept himself in that position. And with Win taking Palace control here, Born and Far East will set themselves up for an A exit.
Hasn't started very well. Wind has gone maybe a little bit too soon. Didn't have anyone there to trade him down. And Meerkat drops as well. So that's sent Born in Far East packing.
This is very disjointed. I have never seen an A exec be timed out like that. And I think there's a reason why, Jordan.
Lakio. Good response at the very least. Gets himself the opener in mid. And there might still be something to be said in this round from Born in Far East. But the bomb now dropped. Ford trying to carry that one up short. Will go down as well. It's 1-on-3. Lakio can't get it done. 4 apiece the scoreline. And once again, we are back to an even position.
Good spot for the CTs though. Into the anti-eco, chance to build up the cash, which is already looking pretty damn good on the CT side. But we'll have more time to consider the financial state of things. Maybe draw a nice little graph about the compound interest.
Ooh.
You know.
Now you're speaking my language.
Buff up the investment portfolio, a little bit into crypto, a little bit into goat farming, a little bit into specialty coffee beans grown in the Italian countryside. What are you going to put yours into, Jordan?
Or we could just gamble on Counter-Strike games.
I mean, not my cup of tea, personally.
Think about the stonks, Pilski. Think about the stonks. All in on CS.
The lounge already took from me, so never again. If you don't know what the lounge is, then welcome to Counter-Strike. You must be maybe between the ages of 14 and 17. Something like that. And that's great. Those were simpler times, Jordan.
Those were simpler times, that is for sure. Maybe not better times, though. Either way, we're back into round number 9 with the scoreline pretty equal. Born in Far East are the team that now have to go back to a sort of a save round. Picked up 5 Deagles. They're going to look for some damage. First point of con being traded back down. So not too bad of a start to this round for Clutch.
Ugh. I just yearn for a world, Jordan, where the approach on eco rounds like this is not just Deagle split and pick, but maybe some kind of set tactic. But you know, it's all good. We can just watch Deagles walk around the map and get domed 90% of the time, and occasionally you get some kind of miraculous eagle round. Not to be this time though. So great position for Clutch Gaming to be in, to set themselves up again on the least favorable half and do very well for themselves here on Mirage. I mean, although Mirage, you'd have to say, is pretty balanced. And who knows how side balance will be impacted by the recent updates. Worth mentioning.
That's true. Yeah, the recharging Zeus, that could make a big difference.
Oh, absolutely.
CT side, massive buff.
I think Ricky retired too early.
He did. Well, aggression out from Clutch in this round, and that is a sharp shot from Imagine. He's feeling pretty good tonight. Is just there to help out as well for another one. I don't know if there was a bit of team damage involved in that exchange, but either way, Clutch have come off the better for it.
Absolutely horrific flashes. But when you're up 5v3, you start to care less. Smoke into unders. Born in Fari, still getting picked apart in middle. They're still not allowed to make it past the halfway point in mid. Wind's chilling at the tap. He's going to turn it on. Starts with one. Plenty more to find here. Smoke into connector. Flash over the top. The mid pinches never stop. It's like a crab slowly running at you.
That was pretty fast though.
Yeah. But the round took a while. You know, it was several pinches.
Crab battle.
Over time. You know. This is kind of what I was getting at. What's the first toy you bought your dog?
Oh, jeez.
Going back a ways. One of the first ones I bought for my dog was a crab called Mr. Pinchy.
I think one of the first ones that I remember getting was like just a blue rubber bone. And he liked it so much, but also destroyed it, that we bought another one. Anyway, this round has started pretty well again for Clutch Gaming, who don't really seem to be having too many difficulties on the CT side anymore. It took them a little while to get into this game, but they've actually put together 6 in a row. This will be their 7th. So it doesn't really look like Born in Fari offering too much resistance here.
This is just insanity.
Why? He's just
running up
with the USB instead. I mean,
they've had enough.
And he hasn't stopped either.
They've had enough.
He's at
I've had enough. I'm glad he's died. There's not many people I'd say that about, but I'm glad that Izz is dead. Oh yeah, please, I hope they lose this round.
In a video game.
They're not going to. In the video game. Allegedly.
7-4 is the score in this video game. And one round left in the half. Well, it's not Minecraft. But
I hope he dies in Minecraft though. Unlike some kind of hardcore mode.
You know, you are toxic. That really is not very nice. Will a double AWP make you feel better?
Nah, no chance.
He's just gonna double AWP plus an AWP.
He's just gonna pull the dualies out and run it down A main anyway, so what's the point?
Do it. That would be some Chad energy. Imagine and Izza in mid. And it's working out pretty nicely. Imagine will go for an extra swing. But even the flashes over the top into mid won't get him out of there alive. Still, Born in Fari are just losing members all over the map.
They're going to regroup towards the backside of B-Apps. They do have their opportunities to try to close this 3-on-4 and look scrounging to get the 5 rounds from this T side. The way that some of these gun rounds have been looking wouldn't be bad. Finally, and aggression has been punished by Cord.
Still, it's only going to be enough to get it back to an even numbers scenario. And in this position, Clutch want to get some information, so they've sent Clouden walking into Palace. And Izza walking up the stairs outside of B. And he hasn't seen a whole lot. And of course, he's going to keep going. Now he hears a lot. And he's going to drop the bomb. So we're right back into Clutch-controlled territory.
They can't even get back in TV room to get the bomb. 30 seconds on the clock. back to A, I guess. Cloudon's been pretty good on the multi-frags over here, and with 2 players over on connector side, it's going to be a pretty difficult round for the T's to close, Jordan.
You're right, Pilski. It's a decent attempt from Cord, but he's going to run out of time here. 9 seconds on for the swing and just absolutely books him. 7-5 the scoreline at halftime. Back into the second half, it is Clutch Gaming that are leading 7-5. They were up 8-4 at this point in the first map and only just managed to push that one over the line in the OT. So don't know that it necessarily tells us a whole lot that they've managed to get the lead in the first half. But I'll tell you what they will be looking for, Pilski, is their first pistol round of the night, because right now they're still 0 for 3 and going into the fourth. They would for sure love to pick that up and make their night a little bit quicker.
Yeah, and worth mentioning, obviously, on Anubis, they looked like the much better team and the dominant team in gun rounds, and then lost that second half pistol and started to lose control of the game. So let's not count Born in Fireys out just yet. I'm sure they more than a decent shot at trying to pick this one up. Big fake coming in for Hastika, applying a lot of pressure to a 3-man stacked B bomb site. He goes down for free. But has he pulled enough of a rotation for Clutch Gaming to take advantage of?
Murakumo looking pretty damn good. and once again, another pistol for Born in Far East that is looking like it should go their way. Bombs dropped in an almost untenable position for Clutch, and now that it's just Imagine left alive, he's going to have to do some magic. Good shots, though. He's got Cord down to 2 HP and should be able to finish that one off. Meerkat also on 4, so it's not as if this is unwinnable for Imagine. He's making quite a bit of noise trying to draw out a peek from one of his opponents. Lakio, as of yet, remains stoically inside of Connector. But that is going to give Imagine the chance to grab that that bomb.
Oh, I'm surprised he goes straight to the consumate there. Thought he would go back murder hole side. And Lakio, patience pays off in the corner. 4 from 4 pistols here for Born in Far East tonight.
4 from 4 pistols, and they might not win a map. So that's not a particularly great conversion rate if that ends up being the case, but still. Good start to the second half of Mirage, and it's definitely not out of the realms of possibility that they pick this one up. Again, no bomb plant for Clutch, so can't buy into the round.
They pistol and converted pretty consistently as well. Gives you a much better chance of winning the game, but they're just struggling in some of the gun rounds here and there, I think. Clutch Gaming. Couple upgraded Deagles in this round. Imagine's clearly feeling himself a bit. Nowhere for Flame to go, unfortunately. And Izza says, "Let me cook, bro." As the kids say, Jordan.
Cloud and Izza still trying to do a little bit more damage to that CT economy. Not sure they're going to get it. Izza might be able to creep out and get a bomb plant, though, if he does find this kill on Cord. Not going to happen that way. And for Clouden, not too many more opportunities now, because it seems like Cord is going to walk right into him, apparently. Yeah, I was wrong. Only the one, though, so 7 apiece will be the scoreline. And we'll now expect the first buy to come through from Clutch Gaming. So the half able to get kicked off.
A lot of dry AK armor going on here, though, which is going to limit the util a little bit. So if Flame does the same over the he will go down to a Galil. Try to get some util for the boys. Can definitely make it work on the T-side Mirage. And indeed, yeah, it's just dry AK. So rolling into first gun round with 7 pieces of util here on the T-side, which is going to kind of pigeonhole what you can accomplish. And means that you probably do have to go for a bit of a sharper timing. Born in Far East expecting a slow, more drawn out default, already anticipating a mid pinch, but actually it's going to be this A contact coming out from the T side and a 1-for-1 on stairs to kick things off.
Imagine only able to get himself 1, so that's not going to be enough to really settle this A site too easily. But it is at least enough to open up the chance for a bomb plant. Clouden and Hastika now with a job ahead. They don't have any util to delay. Just got to take their fights, and they've got to win them. That's 1 on the fadeaway. Clouden, he was half strafing away, but he'll win the fights, and Hastika there to help him out. A round on the board for Clutch, though. I'm not sure that that really fills me with a huge amount of confidence.
That's an interesting little interaction. I think Born in Far East expecting Clutch to kind of feel them out a little bit, T-side Mirage, and go for a little bit of mid-control to see how things would go. But Clutch Gaming, with not enough money to be able to afford the util that they need to actually run any kind of mid-control, end up just going dry contact A, and it works out for them. Mid-pinch never ending up really coming into fruition. A couple of upgraded pistols, that's for sure, as they look to pick up themselves a 9-7. Here's this mid-control coming in. Set pieces of util. Goes into the ladder. Nice spam onto Lakio.
Yeah, very good spam. Holds it really all the way.
Cord's got a freebie. Oh, even a knife.
That could have very quickly gone wrong, but all good in the end. Murakumo might not be expected from the same position, but seems like Clutch are on top of it. And now they're on their way back to collect the bomb, which, again, could come with its own pitfalls. Meerkat P250 in Palace. He's been spotted out now, though, by Flame, who will not shy away from that fight, and perhaps should have, because it'll be the end of him. still, that I would say is the crisis averted for the T side as they get the info and finish the round off. 9-7 scoreline. It's been made closer by Born in Far East winning that pistol, but once again, Clutch on top.
So a little bit of cash built up, but still a couple of guns taken away. Definitely not out of this game yet, Born in Far East, and showing their precedence to go for double AWP, T or CT side. They move into their second gun round with exactly that. That's going to change things up at all. One of the AWPs on mid, one of them on the B extremity. The majority of these riflers pushing straight into Palace, and it's gone favorably to start things off for the T side here.
This is going phenomenally, really. Imagine does get his head lopped off, but it's a great spot to be in for Clutch. The bomb's going over to B. Meerkat might get a freebie in the back of Izza. But overall, still in a really solid position in this round. Flame's going to hide himself in everyone's least favorite position. But Meerkat has a lot of work to do. Doesn't even have a kit here, so might even just be better off electing to save the AK at this point. And if he doesn't find an early kill, and hasn't done so.
One of the two AWPs as well, in Windows side. Yeah, Born in Far East, interesting approach to the second gun round. There's the AWP. E button still not fixed in 2024. Chasing down a little bit. Flame sense is definitely giving me some busy spells. Oops, lost. That's not ideal. And Clutch Gaming putting themselves in a really solid winning position here. Born in Far East. I mean, both of the opening couple of rounds very gamble stacky. You know, they went for a huge mid pinch. One of those opening gun rounds, and then straight into, you know, a Palace push with double AWP. Seems like they're really trying to scissor paper rock the T side, whereas it feels like Clutch Gaming just able to kind of work through the paces and kind of outplay them a little bit on this T side.
Yeah, it's a good start for Clutch. Flame's been having a pretty solid T side. 13-10. Nothing too fancy, but good enough to get the job done. And with only pistols in this round, Born in Far East is not really offering too much resistance. Cloud will lose his head to the 5-7. But trades are in. And it's just Murakumo now who might get a freebie because Haseka's just running around swinging his knife. Oh, dearie me. Oh, where are we at? 11-7. Yeah, Born in Far East really only have one more bite at the cherry here.
They go back on the double AWP. One of those probably would have to get dropped over by Lakio. Hasn't really been doing them too many favors this game, especially because Mirakumo's having a much quieter one. Imagine's actually got the AWP for the T side with somewhat of a mid spawn. Yeah, he's going to try and run up and get this window pick. And he's actually beat Mirakumo to the line there. Flash. Castle flush over the top does not do Mirakumo any favors there. He still loses the head-to-head AWP duel to Imagine in mid.
Meerkat is not even going to get the chance to fire his gun. Izza just charging down the ladder. It's a good thing they fixed that bug. And here we'll make short work of the A-side defense. Haseka is in a great position to find himself another one on the AWPer that's missed the shot. So it's just caught now, and he's got multiple members all swinging him at once. It's just a hype train with no brakes. And 12-7 is the scoreline here for Clutch. It looks like this time at least there shouldn't be too many difficulties closing the map out.
Yeah, much more solid game from Clutch, despite still not taking a pistol. I think a few less fumbles this game, and it feels like after that long drawn-out OT, a couple of the individuals in particular on Clutch this game seem to be out for blood. Imagine's just running at them. Getting the sense that he really feels like, you know, he could just win this game by himself, and he started it off really well. Nice little tag. Izza gets the pick on the window player with the AK. Duels being taken literally everywhere on the map right now by Clutch Gaming.
2-on-3 though for Meerkat and Wind, and unfortunately for Wind, he's down, so is Meerkat. That round is over in the blink of an eye, just like the previous. 13-7 is the scoreline, and Clutch will complete another victory tonight over Born in Far East. And I guess at the end of the day, Born in Far East are going to be looking at that first map, and they're really going to be left wondering as to whether or not they could have gotten that one over the line, because they did get quite close, and that felt like that was really where their opportunity was tonight, to at least take a point away from Clutch Gaming, which, as we can now see, they have been unable to do so. And obviously map 2, well, wasn't really much of a discussion there in the end.
Yeah, I think, Clutch Gaming doing exactly what we wanted to see from them with the leadership of Hastika, a couple of sharp, Mongolian players we haven't seen too much from before. We'll see see our expectations of how we think they're going to do here in Season 47 of Challenger League. A little bit to work on, though, it has to be said. Couple of little fumbles there over on Anubis, and has to be said as well, some of that just classic Asian CS gameplay that they're not going to get away with against some of the better teams in this region. A lot of the top teams in Asia obviously participating in this tournament, trying to get their hands on those Pro League spots. You bring some of those missed plays we were seeing from Clutch Gaming tonight up against some of those teams, and you're going to be left feeling quite sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like Clutch they got a bit ahead of themselves, maybe. I don't know if that's how you would put it, but it did feel like they kind of just got a little bit bored of things and tried to speed things up a little bit too much. Either way, we should take a look at the player of the map for that last one, and it was Imagine. Very good on the entries there on the T side, and quite solid on CT as well. So good stuff from him, and good stuff from Clutch tonight. Overall, they achieved what they set out to do. Sure, the round differential might not have been amazing given that we went to OT in the first map, but overall, you still have to take from that what you will and say, they get the maximum points on the board, right? They get 6 points on board, they get 3 per map win, and that's all they need to do really to kind of keep things chugging along. And like you said, there wasn't that many map wins and series wins for them in the previous iteration of ESL Challenger League. So to get 2 BO1 wins tonight is obviously a great start to their season. Yeah,
I think that is very true. I think Imagine obviously doing quite well for himself. A couple of players we can try to keep an eye on heading through the rest of this Challenger League season. Maybe add a little bit of structure to the reckless aggression and the firepower, and maybe get in the blitz VODs or something like that, and actually add a little bit of direction to the gun that is Imagine, and you can have some potential there to do something interesting.
Yeah, indeed. And I can quickly run you through some of the results from the other games. The Cube were able to pick up their first map win, and looks like Daewoo United and Mirai Gaming going down in there. So a little bit unfortunate for those teams, but either way, we will have some more ESL Challenger League coming up for you shortly. I believe we'll be back on Friday night for a little bit more of the ESL Challenger League for Asia, which we're looking forward to. But either way, thank you very much for tuning in for tonight. That's us done and dusted. We'll see you on Friday for a little bit more action. Have a good night.